The general idea, it's a poison shred build. So this is a werewolf poison shred build. The idea behind it is you stack poison on enemies, and then you're going to consume that poison using this aspect of the Blurred Beast legendary. Basically, it immediately deals 150, it's between 120 and 180% with a two-hander of the poison damage instantly to the enemy and everyone around that enemy. So you basically stack up poison on the group using a few different things that we'll get to, and then you dash around the group, applying the poison instantly, deleting the group. It's incredibly strong. I basically am hitting sometimes upward between 300 and 900k at this level, which is pretty insane. It basically one-shots any elite. Most bosses get deleted pretty quick if you're doing it right. So I'll go over the abilities real quick. Abilities we're going to take are Claw. You can also take Storm Strike if you choose to go with the Tempest Roar helmet, which is, it's got some benefits there. Better potential crits because it hits multiple targets, and it also gives you that damage reduction and vulnerability. So that is a really good option, but you do lose a lot of defensives choosing Tempest Roar. If you're in hardcore, you may want to consider foregoing that, because honestly, in the most crucial moments, you're not going to be able to auto attack for that 3-second damage reduction, and it can kill you. Next, we take Shred. We need Shred. That's the core of the build. You're going to want to take the dash every attack with Shred so that you can dash around the targets. You take these two defensives. Both of them get 15% damage reduction whenever you use them. This one's spammable, so it's really nice. So we take these two defensives. We have Blood Roar as a repeatable. It heals us. It gives us Crit Strike. It gives us Spirit. And then Debilitating Roar is our big cooldown. It removes 70% of enemy damage. It's basically the sit inside the enemy, get the combo off move. It's incredibly strong. I put a lot of points into it, so the cooldown is short. It's really important for World Tier 4 elite clearing. Without it, we'd probably die pretty quick. Next, we take Wolves and Poison Creeper. They are both important. We take both of these. Poison Creeper is for spreading poison, and so is the Wolves. We're going to take a legendary that has our Wolves spreading poison, or rabies, actually, among the group, and that's also important. We take Call of the Wild, maxed out just for extra damage there, and then we also max out rabies because our Wolves are going to be spreading our rabies. Now, I'm a little unsure. I haven't done full testing, but I'm fairly certain that they are using our level of rabies. So I have it maxed out, and I also have the spread as 100% faster, but I'm not sold on whether that's necessary. I probably need to study it a bit more. So keep in mind that the ranks in rabies and these extra 2 bits might not be necessary. I need to test further. We take Toxic Claws, which is very important, and Envenom, which is also important. We only take 1 point into Neurotoxin just so that we can hit these other 2 nodes. And finally, we take Lupine Ferocity, which gives us a guaranteed crit every 6 attacks. Crit is important for the build. Going over the legendaries, we have defensive legendaries on our head, 15% damage reduction on the amulet with werewolf, because we're almost always a werewolf. 40% or the heal with enemies around us on our pants. I've seen Temerity used in a lot of situations. I think that's the wrong idea. I've also chosen not to go with the Tempest Roar helmet. That's this helmet right here. Mainly because you lose so much defensives. Being able to choose your stats on your helmet, I think, is incredibly valuable in hardcore. So instead of going with the ability to use the basic skill Storm Strike, we've chosen to go with 7.2% armor, 249 maximum life. We have some cooldown reduction there, and the gain 0.40% armor every time we hit something. You can also replace that with another defensive if you wanted to, but it's a choice. In softcore, I would definitely take Tempest Roar, but I think it just makes you too squishy. It just gives you more offensive capability. And the Storm Strike does give you some defensive, but only when you're able to apply it. And if you get CC'd, you're not going to be applying it. Moving on, those are the defensives. For our chest piece, we take Mad Wolf's Glee. That is so we have +2 ranks to all werewolf skills. That's not incredibly important. I have debated removing this, but it does give us poison damage and damage reduction from enemies that are poisoned, plus movement speed and physical damage. I think it's just a good choice. So we went with that. Our gloves, we stick werewolf companions on there that spread rabies. This is crucial. We need that. So either put this on a ring or put this on your gloves. It's incredibly important. For the boots, we put Debilitating Roar is now a werewolf skill, and it will immobilize poisoned enemies. That's pretty big. So you Poison Creeper, everything. And then we use Debilitating Roar as another immobilize, which is huge. On our rings, we have Blood Howl, increases crit strike chance. That's huge. We want to pop that anytime we're using our combo to help reset our companion skills. I'll get to that when we get to the spirit boons section. On our ring, we have this restore 1 to 4 primary resource when we crowd control an enemy. It would be great if you had something above a 1, but this is incredibly valuable because 2 of our moves are major CC, and it basically just refills our entire spirit bar. So I would use that as a resource gain back. And on the weapon, we have the main thing. Shred seeks out nearby poisoned enemies. Don't forget that. That's the most important piece. I use a two-hander because this thing is all of our damage. I have contemplated putting a one-hander in each with a totem and putting Blood Howl on the totem and then using the ring for some more utility, but I haven't switched it. But it's an option. There's some room to play around with in this build. Anyways, Spirit Boons. Damage reduction from elites. That's pretty standard. These other ones just aren't great. We have 30% crit strike damage. You could also go with the 5% crit strike chance, but I've gone with the crit strike damage. Honestly, I have at times chosen the bird as the main spirit bonding and went with crit strike chance and crit strike damage. So right now I do have the stag. It's a wolf. Is this a wolf? This doesn't look like a wolf. The heck? Does this look like a wolf, chat? Tell me that's a wolf. This guy. Current bond wolf. That what? Excuse me? That's 100% a stag. Anyways, that's what I'm going with right now for more spirit. Damage dealing has a 15% to restore 10 spirit. It's nice. I don't know if it's necessary, so choose between the bird and the stag. Pack leader, crit strike has a 20% chance to reset the cooldown of your companion skills. That's Poison Creeper. Very important. Also, you get to throw your wolves at more targets whenever that occurs. But a big part of the build is using crit with Pack Leader. So make sure you're stacking some crit chance. Last, and very importantly, we go with Masochistic, which gives us healing on crit, which is nice. And that's pretty much it for Spirit Bonds. On to Paragon board. So we go through the tree. I actually take both sides, but I don't know if that's necessary. I'm going to throw this out there before I go over the Paragon board. There is a lot of room to probably improve this. I have not done calculations, but I do know what I've prioritized is pretty good and important. So I'll run through the Paragon board, but keep in mind when you're making your decisions, maybe don't follow my exact tree, but I would take into account what I've chosen here for the main part. So we run through the board. I take Tracker as one of my glyphs. This adds poison damage and makes my poison damage effects last 33% longer. I believe that increases the damage and the potential big hit from our aspect of the Blurred Beast. So I go with that. I run through grabbing damage. We go with the werewolf skill damage and crit strike damage on the left here, passing through to get Lust for Carnage, which gives us spirit on crit. It is worth noting that you want crit strike on a lot of your gear where you can, your rings, your gloves. I would make sure you have crit on those so that you basically are proccing the crit strike. Also, the pack leader. We have Lust for Carnage. I go up to grab the other glyph socket where we put Werewolf for more damage reduction while in werewolf form. One of the big parts of this is like just straight damage reduction. I'm playing in hardcore and it's a big challenge to stay alive. So I try and pick any damage reduction, flat damage reduction that we can. So we grab this glyph here. And then we move over into the Heightened Malice board. And this is the one that gives us 45% increased damage when 3 or more enemies around us are poisoned. That's huge. And then I basically am just grabbing anything here that gives us life or poison damage to poisoned enemies and whatnot. That's as far as I've gone pretty much with this board. Obviously, it's still a work in progress and there's room for improvement. So if I get this last glyph socket, I'm probably going with either Bane for more poison damage or Exploit. When an enemy is damaged by you, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds. I don't think most enemies last more than 3 seconds when we do our combo right. So Exploit would probably be great. That's pretty much the whole build. One thing I do want to explain with this build, because anyone who tries it is probably going to run into the same issue that I ran into, and that's getting crowd controlled. One thing I have done to help mitigate that is, first off, a lot of damage reduction. Like my pants here have damage reduction from 3 different types at 20%. Dodge chance, the amulets, a lot of damage reduction. Just a lot of flat damage reduction bonuses and armor bonuses. My armor right now is at 5,000 base. This is what we're using to help mitigate crowd control. Basically reduces negative effects by 50%. So all the freezes, the fears, everything lasts 50%. I would run this elixir whenever you can. as just a standard elixir for your experience. This has helped me a bit. There's really no other options for really helping or correcting the unstoppable issue. You can put the unstoppable legendary affix on your gloves. Whenever you're injured, you gain unstoppable for 4 seconds. That can help too, but you do need to kind of move your wolf companions to your ring, remove the primary resource from the ring, and just opt to not have it. That's also another option. So I just wanted to go over those two things. If you have any suggestions or you find anything that's good, I'd love to hear it. This will go on YouTube, so put it in the comments, whatnot. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out while I explain all that live. Jeez. That's crazy. It's just a one shot, man.